Okay, well, we'll get this show started. So I just really would like to say welcome and good evening. Thank you everyone for joining us. I'm Cindy Erickson and I am a tour coordinator with Westworld Tours. I'll be facilitating the presentation this evening, and joining me to tell us all about the beautiful country of Croatia is our tour director, Koral. Welcome, Koral.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be with you this evening.
And before we turn the presentation over to Koral, I just have a couple of items that I'd like to go over. And number one is questions. We do encourage you to ask questions, as many and as you like, at any time throughout the presentation. We do have everybody on mute and ask that you please type your question into the Q&A box that is located on your screen. And if you joined us on Facebook, please type your question into the comment section. And again, we welcome your questions and we'll answer as many as we can at the end of our presentation. Next, I just want to point out to everybody the lineup of our upcoming virtual presentations. We're thrilled to be back with our virtual presentation series, and we hope you are too. And next Wednesday on March 9th at 7:00 p.m., Koral will be joining us once again to help us sail down the St. Lawrence. And we're really excited about it. This is our anniversary tour. We do still have a few spaces available on this tour, so we hope you can join us and learn a little bit more about sailing down the St. Lawrence. And then on March 17th, St. Paddy's Day, we hope everybody's going to put their green on and join us as we review our Women Explorers Shamrocks and Shenanigans tour to Ireland. So a fun tour. We hope you can join us that evening. And then on March 23rd at 7:00 in the evening, we are going to review our Alaska All Coach tour, which we do still have a bit of space left on that one for June departure. And if you've missed any of our previous presentations, we have them all available for viewing on our website at westworldtours.com. If you would like to receive invites to future presentations, as well as timely information on new tours, I know we have a lot of new exciting tours that are in the works, and we'll be probably releasing more information on those shortly. And we invite you to join our email. That's a great way to find out about these. So I'm going to launch a poll here, and you can let us know if you'd like to receive them. And if you're already receiving them, you can let us know that as well. So here we go. So oh, pardon me, I launched the wrong one. Just one moment. Geez, we're all out of practice here. That's not the one I want. I am sorry. Here we go. Here's the newsletter one. So please let us know if you would like to join our email newsletter. And I'll give you all a couple of minutes to respond to that. There might be a few more emails than normal right now as we keep everyone informed on the virtual presentation series. And but we promise we won't inundate you with emails, and you can certainly unsubscribe at any time. So it looks like you've all had a chance to respond. So I'm going to end that poll now. And again, if you joined us on Facebook, you can certainly send us a private message with your email address, and we will make sure that you are at it. Thank you, everybody, for responding to that. And now I'll just tell you a little bit about Westworld Tours. We are Western Canada's premier tour company, and we've been serving Canadians from coast to coast with escorted travel throughout North America and around the world since 2000. Presenting quality components, including modern, comfortable coaches, professional tour directors like Koral, experienced, courteous drivers, baggage handling, and excellent accommodations. We take you to all the important sites and attractions and include several meals throughout. Thousands of passengers have chosen our first-class style of touring, enjoying the great value, security, and stress-free environment, all while making new friends along the way. And we know our tour directors, especially Koral, enjoy getting to know you while on tour, and they really enjoy seeing your familiar faces. And speaking of familiar faces, now I'm going to launch the poll about how many of you watching this evening have traveled with Westworld Tours before. It's always interesting for us to know. So here we go. I will launch the correct one at this point. I hope. Here we go. I'll share those results with you in a few minutes after you've all had a chance to response. Let's see. Is pulling up? I'm going to try that again, everybody. I'm not seeing any responses come in. So just give me one moment. I'm going to try launching that one more time. Okay, well, I guess it's not going to work for us. Glitches or out of practice, I guess, perhaps. But anyway, to those of you that haven't traveled with us before, we look forward to welcoming you aboard. And to those that have traveled with us before, we look forward to seeing your familiar faces once again. So Croatia. The natural beauty of Croatia is endless, with its mountains, waterfalls, and lakes, forests, islands, and stunning beaches. This tour features 7 walking excursions, including the city of Dubrovnik, which is surrounded by 1,940 meters of stone-built wall that was built to protect the city. And you will ride the Dubrovnik Cable Car to enjoy a captivating bird's eye view, enjoy a traditional Dalmatian lunch, and some wine tasting tours. You'll view the Roman Coliseum and the flora and fauna of, pardon me, Coral, how do we pronounce that?
Which one are you looking at there?
Sorry, Plitvice National Park.
Plitvice. It's one of the hardest ones to say.
Yeah, I get all tongue-tied with that one. Thanks for jumping in there. We'll relax on the 7-day private yacht, cruising the Adriatic Sea. The water there is just so incredible. You can't help but not want to get into it. When it comes to the beauty of Croatia, there's no better way to experience it than on our 2020 tour and cruise. So I am pleased to introduce everybody to Koral Romanchuk. Koral has been with Westworld Tours for over 20 years, having traveled the globe extensively, setting foot on all 7 continents, bringing to her role as Senior Tour Director a wealth of knowledge and experience. And this, you traveling to all 7 continents makes me think of our Facebook posts that we had the other day. I'm not sure how many people watching this evening follow us on Facebook, but we do have some very interesting posts on there. And one we did, I think it was about 3 days ago, was asking, how many countries have you traveled to? And I added 20 I've been to, but actually it's 21 because I missed one. I recounted after that. And Coral, how many have you been to?
Well, technically it's 39 for me, although, I guess you can't really say Antarctica is a country per se. So if I was to count Antarctica, then I'd have to say 40 countries, but technically 39 countries. But I feel very blessed to have traveled on all 7 continents. And strangely enough, Antarctica was not the last one I made it to. It was actually my 5th out of 7.
Oh, wow. Which was your last continent?
My last one was Africa. Yeah.
Awesome.
When I went to Egypt, that was my very first time on the continent of Africa. So.
Awesome. Well, we did have one passenger comment that they had, or not one passenger, I should say, we did have one comment on our Facebook post that they had traveled to 78 countries. Now that is a busy schedule. So yeah, great. I know I certainly need to add a few more. I'm not sure I'll get to 78, but by all means, everybody, you should follow us on Facebook. There's some great posts on there. So Coral, I'm going to turn it over to you now and let you take us through Croatia.
Awesome. Thank you, Cindy. I appreciate that. And yes, once again, 78 countries is mind blowing. It really is. So I think all of us are really, really impressed. That's so cool. But you know how travel is. The more you travel, the longer the list grows of places you want to go. It never gets shorter. It only gets longer. I think that's true for so many of us who love to travel. And of course, so many of us are anxious to travel again. The past 2 years have been a strange time for all of us. And I just thank you all again for joining us for our Zoom presentations. And it's nice to be back at it again in 2022. And we look forward to some actual travel as well too. So again, everyone, my name is Coral. Many of you may be listening tonight. I know for those of you I don't, I certainly hope I have the pleasure of meeting you sometime in the future. And I'm really, really happy to be here tonight, Cindy. Without any question at all of any country in Europe I have traveled on, there is no doubt whatsoever that Croatia is my #1 favorite. So I'm really excited that we're doing a show on Croatia this evening. And the first slide that we have up on the screen to begin our presentation this evening is showing you a map. So it's kind of a small map of the area, but of the country rather, excuse me. But let's just look at the lower map first of all. If you see that little teeny tiny airplane on there, you can see our destination city where we arrive in the beautiful country of Croatia. And I'll talk more this evening about the extraordinary beauty of Croatia for sure. But the capital city is where we arrive and depart from. It's called Zagreb. So there we have Zagreb up at the top of the map down towards the bottom of the screen. And then from Zagreb, making our way to Opacha and then down to Plitvice. I have to tell you, everyone, do not be put off by the pronunciation of the words in Croatia. Those place names are really hard to pronounce. Some of them, once you wrap your tongue around them, they're not so bad, but initially they're pretty tough. And Plitvice is definitely one of the hardest ones to say. And yet it's one of the most beautiful places we're going to visit on the whole tour as well. So making our way through the country down to Zadar, eventually down to Split as well. Beautiful, beautiful city we'll talk more about. So you can see some of the places we visit, Pula and so on. And then the map that's on the top is actually the one that shows you a little bit more about our cruise itinerary on our private yacht in Croatia. So yeah, you can see Mijet on there, Korčula, Hvar, Bol, Vis. Again, just some of the destinations that we'll visit on the cruise portion of the tour. So it's a great itinerary. You're going to see a lot of the country all the way from north to south. And this screen here that Cindy has up for us, we won't go through it place by place, but it just shows you some of the highlights, some of the destinations that we're going to take in on the cruise. So we're going to spend some time in nature. We're actually going to visit 2 national parks on the trip. So you will definitely be out there in the middle of the beautiful scenery, but you're going to see the cities as well too. Cities like Zagreb and Split and Dubrovnik, certainly a city I wanted to see for many years, and it certainly lived up to everything I thought it would be when I finally made it to Dubrovnik for the first time. So again, just showing you some of the highlights, and let's go through some of those highlights in a little more detail, shall we? All right. So again, everyone, our arrival city. This is the capital city of Croatia. It's called Zagreb. And the architecture here, there's a lot of actually really beautiful architecture in Croatia. It's not just about the scenic natural beauty, but the cities are really, really lovely as well, too. The lower left-hand corner of the screen in Zagreb is the cathedral. And no doubt many of you listening tonight remember when that earthquake happened just in, I believe it was sometime in 2020. The date escapes me exactly now when it happened, but yeah, there was a earthquake, which really are not common in Croatia, but there was nonetheless, and there was damage to the cathedral. So it'll still be under repairs, but fortunately, most of the city actually didn't have a lot of damage. The cathedral did sustain damage, but that's the cathedral we're looking at in the lower left-hand corner of the screen. Interestingly enough, the influence of architecture varies quite a bit between the north part of the country to the south part of the country. And in Zagreb, the architecture was influenced a lot by Hungarians and Austrians and Germans as well. So some of the architecture that you're looking at here. In the center of the screen, that is called St. Mark's Church, and it's believed to have been built in the 13th century and underwent renovations in the 14th century. So a lot of history in Croatia, no question about that. And on our arrival day in Croatia, we will arrive in Zagreb, and we'll have a little walking tour of Zagreb, and then we'll have a welcome dinner that night before we carry on to our next destination the following day. So a little under, I should say, 1 million people live in Zagreb. As far as Croatia as a country, about 4.5 million people live in Croatia. And here's a really interesting thing about Croatia for you. The coastline is amazing. There are so many islands and little islets as well in Croatia, all told more than 1,200 islets and islands, excuse me, in the country, and over 5,800 kilometers of coastline. I believe it's like 5,835, if memory serves me right, kilometers of coastline in the country. The screen that we're looking at here, it's such a beautiful town. It's actually a resort town. It's known as Opača. I know I was guilty of mispronouncing this one the first time I went to Croatia. I was calling it Opatija, but it's not. It's Opača, although I'm sure Croatian would probably say it much better than I would. But Opača is a lovely town, about a 2-hour drive from the capital city of Zagreb. So the following day, after we arrive in this lovely country, we're going to make our way to Opača. That's actually I think it's a really cool statue that you're looking at on the left-hand side of the screen. It's so photogenic. I took some really nice pictures just on my cell phone. It's called the, excuse me, I just lost it for a second there. It's called the Maiden with the Seagull. I wanted to call her a mermaid. Sorry, she's not. She's the Maiden with the Seagull. And that statue was erected back in 1956. But Opača is really known for its history and tourism. It was really the kind of the leader in tourism in Croatia, about 135 years worth of tourism. The very first hotel in the country was built in Opača, and the reason being, it was kind of, I guess you could call it the playground of the elite, because it is so beautiful. The climate is so lovely, and the scenery is so gorgeous. It was the holiday resort for the elite. In fact, traditionally, royalty, Australian and Hungarian royalty, would vacation here. And lucky enough for us, we get to spend some time. We spent a couple of nights actually in Opača as well too. So we will have another walking tour when we get to Opača, and a beautiful lunch, and then some free time. Our hotel not far from the seaside, so you can walk down along the coastline and just enjoy a lovely dinner, perhaps just sitting looking over the water at sunset. So it's going to be a really relaxing, lovely tour. I really can't say enough about this tour. As I say, it's a country that's very, very dear to me for a lot of different reasons. But, I keep saying the scenic beauty is extraordinary. You're going to see that still in some of the slides to come. But we're going to learn a lot too. There's a lot of history, as I was saying, in the country. And the following day, after we arrive in Opača and have this lovely walking tour and some free time, the next day we have a full day trip planned. And on this tour, we're going to be going out along the Istrian Peninsula to see a town called Pula. And what you're looking at in the top left-hand corner of your screen, excuse me, is a good view of the Pula Coliseum, or also known as the Pula Arena as well. And it's rather interesting in that it's a full circle Coliseum. In other words, all 4 side towers are preserved. So basically, you really feel like you're still standing in a Coliseum, which is, by the way, about about 2,000 years old. And what I think is really, really cool is that in the summertime, they still use this Coliseum or this arena for events. So sometimes cultural events and concerts and plays are actually held in the Coliseum in Pula. And we will have a tour in Pula. The gentleman in that top left-hand photo there, right in the center, tall gentleman wearing black, he was the local guide I had last time I was in Croatia. And I just have to say, fantastic local guides that we have for you in Westworld. Really, it's only right that we have local guides everywhere we go when we're traveling internationally, and we certainly do. So we'll have a local guide that will give us a full tour of the Pula Coliseum. By the way, it's the 8th largest Coliseum in the world, incidentally. And then have a look on the lower left-hand side of the screen. That's a couple of really good pictures of the last activity of the day. So the last place we stop at on this particular day tour is Levad, and I might be mispronouncing that one. We're going for a truffle tasting, and that's pretty interesting as well too. Not only interesting, but also tasty as well too. So you get to try some truffles. They really are good. In fact, the largest truffle ever found in the world. This is a little fun fact for you. I love fun facts. The largest truffle was found here. It was 1,310 grams in size. You can take a picture of it at Levad, but we'll have our tour of Pula, and then the end of the day, we're going to go to Levad for this truffle tasting as well too. So. And then on the next screen that Cindy has for us, there's actually one more town that we will be visiting that day as well. Oh, forgive me. I guess it was on the previous screen. I apologize for that. We're all a little rusty. We haven't done a Zoom presentation for a while. Rovine, I do apologize, was on the right-hand side of your screen. That is another one of the towns that we visit on the Istrian Peninsula. And yeah, it used to be a small fishing village, nowadays known for its tourism as well. So yeah, there we go. So you can see it on the bottom right-hand corner. I guess it would be there. So we'll have a tour around Rovine to a bit of free time. And then, as I say, we'll stop for the truffle tasting and then make our way back to Apache that night. So this day, everyone, is, in my opinion, one of the highlight days of the trip to Croatia. Certainly the land portion, the cruise, oh my gosh, I can't say enough good things about it. As for the land portion, I would definitely call this one of the highlight days. This is the first of the national parks that we're going to visit on our trip. This is the word that's particularly difficult to wrap the tongue around. Plitvice, something like that. To spell it, it's Plitvice, but it's not quite that simple in its pronunciation. It is extraordinary in its beauty. My impression being in Plitvice Lakes is I felt like I was in Waterworld. It really was. There are waterfalls everywhere. And I don't mean little baby waterfalls, I mean big waterfalls. You're looking around you at the cliffs and there's tumbling waterfalls everywhere. And not only waterfalls, there's a series of 16 lakes. And so the whole thing is interconnected. So you see the group, my group that I was there with last I was in Croatia, walking on that boardwalk there in the far left-hand side of your screen. So we do spend quite a bit of time walking on boardwalks through Waterworld, as I like to call it, but Plitvice Lakes National Park. By the way, it's the oldest national park in Croatia, incidentally, too. Got to be a little bit careful when you're walking there. You're taking pictures and enjoying the scenery, but you don't really want to be falling off into the water either. And this is a really good day to wear your good sport sandals, your best walking shoes, maybe your Skechers, something like that. This is probably as good a time as any, everyone, just to tell you, there's quite a bit of walking on this tour. And that's a common question that I think we all get asked at Westworld. I know I do. Oh, you know, on this particular tour, I'm thinking about going on, how much walking? There are tours that I could certainly tell you that don't have a lot of walking. There are plenty of tours that we do with Westworld where you have to walk some, you could walk a lot, you don't necessarily need to. This is a tour where we do walk quite a bit. So it really is something to keep in mind if you're thinking about booking this tour. You don't have to be an athlete, but it's good to be a pretty fair walker on this tour, because there's plenty of walking tours that we'll do in many destinations on the land portion and even on the cruise as well. And the day in Plitvice Lakes National Park is unquestionably the most, we'll call it the most walkingest day of the tour. It's not really a hard walk, but it's quite a bit of walking. But the scenery is unbelievably spectacular. And we're actually going to spend the night in Plitvice Lakes area. So we'll have a hotel where we'll have a beautiful dinner, and you'll be tuckered out by the end of the day, ready for a shower and a nice meal and a good night's sleep, with beautiful memories of some of the most spectacular scenery that Croatia has to offer. Oh, one of my favorite topics when I talk about Croatia. It's really difficult to avoid the topic of food and drink when we talk about this beautiful country, because the food and drink is outstanding. It is really out of this world. And this place, I wish you could know, just from looking at these pictures, how delicious this experience was and how delicious it will be if you come with us on the tour, because it is just extraordinary. This is at Bibbich Winery. And again, I might be a little bit off in my pronunciation, but Bibbich Winery is quite famous in Croatia, and certainly it's known for its world-class wines as well. The food is equally extraordinary. It's not just the wines there. You can see, particularly on the right-hand side of the screen, perhaps, that beautiful spread of tapas, or appetizers, as we would say. Much of the world, they call them tapas, all laid out for us. So we'll have a presentation by the local staff there, and then a wine tasting and a little feast of tapas. It's absolutely a delight. And so that is Bibbich Winery as we make our way to the city of Split. Yeah, and yes, so here we are in Split, and I have to say, Dubrovnik, and really, to pronounce it correctly, in Croatia they call it Dubrovnik. They really put the emphasis on the do. We usually say Dubrovnik, but just for the sake of simplicity, we'll call it Dubrovnik for now. This is that's a city rather that I wanted to see for years, but I didn't know anything about Split other than the fact I thought it was kind of a funny name for a city, but at least it's easy to say and easy to spell too. Split is absolutely beautiful, and so that is our next destination and our next overnight on the land portion of our tour. So beautiful Split is actually in the Dalmatia region of Croatia, and it is the capital of Dalmatia and the biggest city in the Dalmatia region as well too. We will have another walking tour of Split, and we're actually staying right in the palace. So the hotel is in the palace area. So again, history, just a beautiful walk, through this incredible architecture. As I was saying, the architecture actually varies quite a bit from the north to the south. As you continue going south through Australia, instead of being influenced rather by Greeks and Austrians, it's really influenced by Italians and Greeks. So the architecture changes. The pace in Split is very, very relaxed and very casual. It's really lovely. You can't see in these photos here, but we're close to the water's edge all the time. So it's just it's so extraordinarily beautiful. And again, the food and drink is wonderful. That photo in the top right-hand screen is myself with the local guide and a few of the group that were out for dinner one night, just having a beautiful gastronomical experience with the local cuisine. And on the bottom left-hand corner, just trying those actually really, really good Croatian wines and some lovely desserts as well. So again, another walking tour, another magical place, and yeah, so we'll enjoy our stay in the city of Split. And from Split, this is actually where we're going to be embarking on our cruise. We actually leave. I should say we take a side trip out to Trogir as well, another town, and then the following day we'll be embarking on our cruise. And we are going to be starting our cruise right from Split on a yacht called the Infinity. Now, here's the beautiful thing about it. It's a private yacht. It's all for us. It is such a unique experience for Westworld. As many of you know, of course, we do a lot of ocean cruises with Westworld. We do the river cruises as well, which I absolutely love. But this is a really unique experience because this is a private yacht, the Infinity. So it's all about, I guess I can say it, it's all about us. It really is. Yeah, what a special experience to say that that it is a yacht just for us. They also call it barefoot cruising as well. So when I say casual and relaxed, it really is barefoot cruising. So we're going to be cruising on the Dalmatian coast to some of those beautiful islands, and I'll tell you more on the next screen. Okay. All right. So we'll just go ahead and maybe we'll elaborate a little bit more on that. But for now, everybody, let's just go on to talking about some of the islands. And as I say, I will elaborate on the cruise itself before we finish up the cruise portion of the presentation. But what you're looking at here, everyone, is the island of Brock. So as we make our way from Split to Hvar in Croatia on our yacht, we will be stopping on the island of Brock. You're looking at the town of Bol, B-O-L there, and a really famous beach. That actually is me standing on the beach in the top left. But more importantly, if you look at the photo just in the center on the bottom of your screen, you can really see the beach. This time I'm not even going to try the Croatian pronunciation. I'm going to go straight for the English name, which is the Gold Horn. You can see why it's called a horn. It actually kind of looks like that. The weird thing about it, though, is the Gold Horn, which is about 100 meters long, but this very famous and very, very popular beach in Croatia actually changes direction. So depending what's happening with the waves and the currents and the winds, it actually will kind of move from side to side and change positions. So it is definitely one of the most beloved beaches in the country, and we will definitely make a stop there. We're going to spend a lot of time in the water on this tour, for those of you who wish to, at least anyways, which is great because it is hot in Croatia. We're going in the month of June. So those of you listening tonight who like good hot weather, myself, I'm at home in Churchill right now, where we've been hovering around -30, -35, plus a stiff wind and some serious wind chill. Hot weather sounds pretty good to me right now. So those of you where you're listening tonight in these cold winter temperatures, if hot weather sounds appealing to you, believe me, you're going to love it. It is warm, and the beautiful thing about that is we'll have plenty of time to go for a swim in the water as well too. In fact, while we're on our cruise, there will be opportunities where we will stop and we'll end up in a really nice little sheltered bay, and you can literally jump right off the back of the yacht into the water and just enjoy your time in the lovely warm waters. So yeah, just so much to look forward to. So that is the Gold Horn and the island of Brock, and we'll carry on to a spot that I really, really love. This is extraordinary. So first of all, let's start with the photos on the right-hand side of the screen. This is the city of Vis. It's known for its Venetian architecture and its charm. It is so lovely. This is one of those places after our, again, walking tour in Vis, where you'll have a chance just to go for a stroll. Here's a really nice thing about this cruise, everyone, that I really like. So we spend our nights in port. Interestingly enough, we don't have a lot of long cruises. You see that more on the ocean cruises, even river cruising. They tend to be, maybe shorter stretches sometimes of cruising. Probably the longest length, I should say, that we ever cruise on this trip on our yacht is maybe 6 hours. So in other words, we spend a lot of time in port, which is really great. And we're not cruising a lot, we're also overnighting in the ports as well too. So here's another great thing. We have all of our breakfasts on board our private ship, our yacht, and all of our lunches as well. We have a couple of dinners on the ship too, but we often have time on our own to go into the port of call for our evening meal. So again, breakfast and lunches all on the ship and included for you. A couple of the evening meals, but most of the time we'll get into port. We're going to have this lovely time where we'll see the town, the place we're visiting, a local tour with a local guide, and then just time to stroll those cobblestone streets and just relax. It's not where you're looking at your watch, like I know I've often done on an ocean cruise thinking, oh my gosh, I got to hurry and get back to the ship. It's not like that. You can just stroll and enjoy. And I know I've been guilty of just finding a little street cafe on the cobblestone streets in some beautiful town in Croatia, just sitting with a beautiful, cold Croatian beer perhaps, or whatever, and a nice salad and just people watching. It's just the loveliest thing. It really is. Here's another great thing about the ports that we're going to be stopping in too, I want to share with you. And that is, I keep mentioning local guides that we're going to be having and these walking tours that we have. Any of you listening this evening who have been on river cruises, you may have experienced this before, but on our private yacht, when we stop, we have what they call whispers. They're little earbuds. And so they're given to you to put in your ears. And it's really, really nice, because if you've ever been in that position where there's a bunch of people all standing around and are all trying to listen to our local guide, and there's traffic and there's people talking, this is so much better. You put your little whispers in, and as long as you stay within about 20-30 feet of the local guide, you have no problems hearing everything he or she is saying. So it's really nice. And then let's go over to the left-hand side of the screen. This is extraordinarily beautiful. And this is not far from Vis, the town we were talking about on the right-hand side. What you're looking at here, everyone, is Biševo. And this is an extraordinarily beautiful spot in Croatia. It is actually a natural phenomenon. It's called the Blue Cave. And what you're looking at is not enhanced by unnatural blue lighting inside. It is not. It is amazing. Every picture I took on my cell phone looks just like that, what you're seeing, and that photo there. So there might be some people who might not wish to go into the Blue Cave because you do have to go in a small boat. And sometimes we have to stand up in line once we get on shore off of our yacht and wait for a while. Last time I was there, it wasn't bad. We waited for about 45 minutes for our turn. Everybody has to wait their turn to get into these little boats. And then they kind of just keep putting more and more people in these little boats and bringing them to the cave and back to shore again. But in my opinion, oh my goodness, it is worth it. It is incredible. And if you're wondering why in the world it looks that way, basically what's happening, it's the seawater eroding the limestone. Well, of course, that then limestone powder looks white. So that white sea bottom, what happens then with the white seabed from the eroded limestone, the sunlight creeps into the entrance of the cave. You can sort of see that in the picture. And because of that, it creates a blue hue. So it is the sunlight creeping into the cave and reflecting or refracting off of that white seabed and giving the blue cave that hue. So it is stunningly beautiful. So that's another one of our stops on our cruise. Okay, this is our next slide here, everybody. This is a beautiful town, one more time on our cruise that we're going to have a chance to spend some time in. This is Korčula, K-O-R-C-U-L-A, but it's actually a Czech sound. It's Korčula. They call it small Dubrovnik or Dubrovnik. It does look actually quite a bit like the city of Dubrovnik. And what it's known for is, you've all heard the name Marco Polo, the explorer Marco Polo. This is the birthplace of Marco Polo. And if I had to describe Korčula, I would describe it as picture perfect. that small picture in the center on the right-hand side, I'm not sure if that is one of my photos from the last trip or if it just looks exactly like it, because I probably took a picture just like that. I think I have one that looks like that, only there's also a bicycle leaning up against one of the walls, because it just looks like a painting. Every beautiful picture you can imagine, you can basically take that picture on your cell phone. It's just, it really, truly is picture perfect. So this is a country, I know I can't stop saying it, but it is just filled with beauty, from its natural beauty to the beauty of its cities, its architecture, its islands, everything. So it is, it's just extraordinary. And moving on to our next slide. Okay, so we are making our way to Miet here. So from Korčula, we're going to be making our way to Miet, and Miet is actually a national park. It's another strange spelling. It's M-L-J-E-T, and it's pronounced like a Y. So it's Miet. Miet is known for its flora and its fauna, and also its famous saltwater lakes as well too. So this is actually one of the days on the cruise portion of the trip when we're going to have our evening meal, or whatever you prefer to call it, dinner or supper. We're going to have it on the ship. The reason being is there's really no town per se for us to have dinner in, because we are just in a national park, excuse me, surrounded by natural beauty. So we'll have our meals, all of them, on board the ship that day. But we'll have a chance to go on a nice walk in the national park. For those of you a little more adventurous, you can rent a bicycle, you can go kayaking. There's other things to do there as well, or you might just want to relax and enjoy the natural beauty. Interesting little story. I'm a lover of literature. Anyone listening tonight who is a fan of the Odyssey or the Iliad, you're familiar with the story of the hero Odysseus. If you know this story, and I'm sure some of you listening tonight do, about Calypso and how she basically sort of seduced him, I guess, into staying with her. This is supposedly where it all happened, right here in Miet. That is supposedly where Odysseus stayed with Calypso. So yeah, it's kind of fun, you know, learning these little tidbits as well, I think. So that is Miet. Yeah, and this is another good slide here that we're going to get into Dubrovnik as we come close to the end of our presentation, everyone. But before we do that, it's actually a good chance for me to tell you just a little bit more about the cruise as well too. The center photo there, you're looking at the dining room on the Infinity. So again, it's a private yacht. It is amazing. It really is. The service is outstanding. That has been my experience in the past, traveling in Croatia and having the very great privilege, really, to do this tour with groups with Westworld. The fact that it's really it's incredible. The staff are amazing. Anyone who happens to be coming on the tour who may have some dietary concerns, allergies, something like that, they are top notch. They really are. They're so attentive and so caring, and they really, really will take care of you. It's not like going on an ocean cruise where you have multiple things to choose from every night. You'll have kind of a set menu, and then, you know, according to your dietary needs, you know, of course, they will definitely make you know, they'll make way for whatever needs you have as well. Some of you may have heard me say this before in a previous presentation or two, but I have been very blessed to be on a lot of cruises in my lifetime. Only once in a private yacht in Croatia, but on expedition cruises in my personal life, ocean cruises, river cruises as well with Westworld, and again in my personal life. This one, there is no question in my mind, this cruise is the best food I have ever had on any of those cruises, and I am not kidding. The food is extraordinary, and it is just the most amazing culinary experience. And sometimes it's really fun, always really, it's fun, I think, to experience a culture and a country through their food and their drink. And you'll definitely have the opportunity to do that. So it's a lot different being on a private yacht. You know, you don't get a new newsletter to your room every day with the next day's events. Every day we gather at our own private dining room, our Westworld group, and maybe before the meal or after the meal, myself or if it was someone else, whomever the guide would happen to be, will get up and talk about, our activities for the rest of that day, start talking about what our activities are going to be for the following day as well. So it's really such a personal experience. And talking about a personal experience, all the public areas, the lovely upper decks, with nice couches and hot tubs and hammocks to lay in. There's no strangers. It's just our very own Westworld group. So all the friends that you've made in our group, we have that beautiful private space to enjoy. So it really is just such a fantastic experience. So yeah. All right. So moving on a little bit more to talk about Dubrovnik. We're just approaching the end here. Everyone of my portion, Dubrovnik is an extraordinary city. And if you're like me, if this was a city that you'd always wanted to see, believe me, it's going to live up to your expectations. It really is. The history is incredible. The architecture is every bit as incredible as you might think, based on the photos you've seen and everything you've heard. It is a walled city. That wall around Dubrovnik was completed back in the 16th century. So yeah, we're going to have a chance to really tour the city. We will have a chance once again, of course, to do another walking tour as well too. It's on the Adriatic Sea, by the way. And for anyone who wants to, this is something that we won't do as a whole group because it's not something that's going to appeal to everybody. But for anyone who wants to, you'll actually have a chance during your free time to, you don't pay much. It's a few bucks to do it. And you can actually buy a ticket to go up onto the wall and walk around the wall around Dubrovnik. And last I was there, I had some of the group just meet me in the hotel lobby after maybe late afternoon or after dinner, I don't recall. And yeah, it came with me. We walked together and walked the wall. And oh my goodness, I have so many amazing pictures. The scenery was unbelievable walking the wall in Dubrovnik. So just incredible. What can I say? And then as we head into the last of our slides here, this is something really special too. So if you look in the bottom right-hand corner of, bottom left-hand corner, pardon me, of the screen, you're looking at the view from the top of Search Hill. So this is one of the highlights that Dubrovnik has to offer is the cable car. So we'll be going up to the top of Search Hill for this spectacular view, looking out over the Adriatic Sea and over the city of Dubrovnik too, from the view from the cable car. And then we have one last attraction planned, and that is a chance to go out to Conval and to Kavtat and then back to Dubrovnik that night. But we're going to have a chance at our very last day of sightseeing to tour a traditional processing mill where wool is processed and learn more about the spinning and weaving and stamping of the wool as well. So we'll do that. And then back to Dubrovnik where we will have our farewell dinners. So again, that's a look one more time at the extraordinary scenery, Conval, where we're going to go out to this woolen mill. And yeah, and then as I say, from Conval back to Dubrovnik that evening and have our farewell dinner and go home with incredible memories of our time in Croatia.
Yeah,
All
there's
right,
no doubt.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Cindy.
That's okay. I was just going to say, there's no doubt that Croatia is a beautiful country. And honestly, that water, like you can't walk past it without saying, I just got to get in there and step in that water. It's just so beautiful. It just calls to you. And I rode the cable car up in Dubrovnik, and that was actually one of my pictures taken in the cable car, looking down at the walled city of Dubrovnik. It was a great experience. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I just had to get that out.
I'm glad you did, Cindy. Good chance to have a sip of my lemon tea here. Yeah, and I know how you feel. I think for any of us who have had the opportunity to travel in Croatia, it's easy just to gush about it. It's hard not to. Yeah, that's right. So, Yeah. Last thing from me, everyone, before I turn things back over to Cindy again, is just a word on traveling internationally. And again, I know I'm sure there are some listening tonight who have certainly listened to our previous presentations from Westworld as well, too. So you've heard this before, perhaps. But if you haven't, it is worth reiterating nonetheless. That with Westworld, when we are traveling internationally, you always have a Westworld guide going with you from home. So typically what we'll do is maybe have like what I would call a rendezvous airport. So often that might be Toronto, it could be Vancouver. I've had it where it was even Calgary, where we would meet as a group. So you'd fly from home to our rendezvous point, and that's where we would meet, and we'll fly to wherever we're headed overseas from there. So again, in our case, we'd be flying to Zagreb, Croatia as a group. Sometimes people like it, I think, just for the idea of kind of just the comfort of traveling in a group. And I think that's one of the nice things about, group travel internationally too, is just kind of just that comfort level of all of us going together. There might be questions that you have before we leave home about a country, especially when we're going overseas, just things that you don't know. What kind of adapter do I need to plug in my cell phone or my camera or my hair dryer? How does that work? What kind of currency should I be taking with me? In this case, by the way, I found personally that the easiest thing to use in Croatia was the local currency. It's called kuna. So we would use kuna typically in Croatia. And of course, credit cards readily accepted everywhere you go as well too. So you might have questions about currency. You might have questions about jet lag and about time zone changes and that kind of thing too. And that's why another one of the nice things about traveling with Westworld, and I've been such a supporter of this for a long time. I have been with Westworld for over 20 years now. I love that we phone everybody before we leave on a tour. And it doesn't matter if we're staying right here in Canada, we're still going to call you before the tour just to say hi and touch base and see if you have any questions for us about the trip that's coming up. And we're also going to go over some of the important details. We want to confirm with you where you're meeting us, what hotel lobby, or in this case, what airport, and our timing and all that kind of thing. So we're going to go through all those things with you. And really, in my opinion, it's kind of a source of comfort going, okay, we're on the same page. I've had a chance to get my questions out of the way. And now I'm just excited about the trip. And then one more slide as well that Cindy has for us on that note. I love group travel. I've just made so many beautiful friends in my years working with Westworld. I've been around the tour industry for a long time, but I have to say, a huge part of the joy of group travel is unquestionably, and I know it is for me, it's the people that you meet and the friends that you make. Croatia is such a special tour in that regard because we have this private yacht together. We really are going to be like a little family, that's for sure, the whole time that we're on this trip. You see, it's actually that center picture at the bottom there is actually me and forget where I am, Santiago, maybe. I believe I'm in Chile with a tour group in that particular slide. But, I love to carry a sign. I think a lot of us do with Westworld. If we're on a walking tour to a big city like we are in that shot, even often if we're walking through a big airport somewhere too, I'll have that Westworld sign up, just making sure that everybody knows where we are. If someone's kind of, taking pictures and turns around and goes, oh no, where did everybody just go? That kind of thing. It's nice to have that comfort. Again, it's really about the comfort so that all you have to do, and it's our objective as tour directors with Westworld, is that all you have to do is focus on just enjoying the trip and that everything else is done for you. So I think that's probably enough listening to me, everyone. As you can tell, I could just talk and talk about this trip and how great it is. But I really do hope that I've made you excited for the Croatia tour. And I hope that maybe you will be one of those people who will join me on a tour to Croatia in the future. So really a pleasure to be here with you all this evening. Thank you so much for joining us. And on that note, I'll turn it back over to Cindy.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Coral. And really, Croatia is very easy to talk about. It is so easy to fall in love with. And I know that I would go back to Croatia in a heartbeat, given the opportunity, as would you, I can tell. And we're happy that you can talk forever. We love listening to you. So, but it is time to get to some questions here. So hang on and let's see what we've got for some questions to get to. Stuart has asked, are there any mosquitoes, etc. there in Croatia? And, I don't recall ever seeing one.
I don't either, and I'm pretty sure I'd remember if I did.
Remember if they were, annoying me, but yeah, I remember sitting out on the like you said, on the cobblestone street cafes and enjoying your lunch or your dinner and a glass of wine, and I don't remember being hassled by bugs at all, any flying bugs at all that I can recall. So Stuart, if there is, they're not very populous.
And honestly, Cindy, I would think if I would have encountered them anywhere, it would be where there's a lot of water, like in Plitvice Lakes. And even there, I do not remember being bothered by insects. So yeah. Good question though.
That is a great question. Yeah. And let's see, Val has some comments here. Fabulous photos, any possibility of or a similar trip in October of 2023. Well, Val, we don't know what's coming yet exactly. I'm sure we will have something along these lines, but if you do, follow us on Facebook, you will find out what's coming down the pipe. And also you can look at our website, westworldtours.com, sign up for our emails, and we'll stay informed. And let's see, we do have another question here. Are there any optional opportunities for a trip to Lake Bled, B-L-E-D? I think the tour is actually pretty full. Every day is kind of full. Your itinerary is pretty much planned. There is free time built into the daily itineraries, obviously, but you're welcome to extend your stay or go in early as well on any of our tours. So those are things that can easily be arranged if you wanted to fly in, start your trip a couple days early, or extend it a little bit longer at the end. Those certainly can be arranged for sure. Are tips included? That's a good question. Very good question. I know that we do include certain tips for certain things on this particular tour. Obviously, when we forward out the information to you, that will be indicated on there as to what is exactly included and which tips are and are not included, as well as, that information will come out to you with your documents. Those are things you can discuss with your tour director as well. Usually we include tips for local guides, that sort of thing. Obviously, if you've been, overjoyed with somebody's experience that they've provided for you, you're welcome to, throw a couple extra krona their way as well. So that's a good question though, and can be answered in the inclusions on this particular tour, which you'll get the information on within the next day. Let's see, what else? Stuart's been on 3 Westworld tours, excellent times, accommodations, meals, well worth the time. Thanks so much, Stuart. We really love hearing from our past passengers, and we really appreciate those comments, and that's what we strive for. We want everybody to have an excellent time. We want you to enjoy all your accommodations, your meals, all of those things that we do include. We want to make sure your experience is a great one. Are your prices per person? Yes, Judy. All of our tours are priced per person based on your occupancy level. So whether there's 2 people sharing a room or a single person sharing a room. Yes, they are based per person. And let's see, Leanne, are you with us? Do we have any questions that have been sent to us on Facebook at all?
Hello. There are no questions currently on Facebook.
Okay, well, that's great. I'm not sure if anybody else has any more questions. If you do, now's a great time to jump in and answer. I'm going to, at this point, just advance to our next slide, but we can still take your questions. And I just want to say thank you, everyone, for joining us this evening. We will be following up with everybody, with an email that will have a link to all the details for this tour. And you should receive it sometime tomorrow. And you can always reach out to us for more information on this tour and others by visiting our website, as I mentioned, westworldtours.com, emailing us at information@westworldtours.com, or following us on Facebook. Trust me, we've got some incredible posts going on Facebook right now, or by contacting your local travel agent. Again, thank you to everyone for spending the evening with us. We hope you enjoyed our presentation on beautiful Croatia. And thanks again so much to Koral. We really appreciate you sharing your love of Croatia with us this evening. And enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone. And hopefully we'll see you next week as we set sail on the St. Lawrence.